Now, if we look at the question of species-to-species transitions, Darwin predicted that you have fine-grained gradual transitions between species. And of course, with the fossil record, we can look if this is actually the case. And paleontologists, of course, try to find evidences for this important part of Darwinian evolution. And they didn't, and they failed to find this evidence. And there are only very few cases which have been proposed as proofs for gradual species-to-species transitions. And those few cases in recent years basically have been refuted. One evidence would come from marine foraminiferans that are protozoan organisms, single-celled organisms with an exoskeleton. And these you can find in the fossil record. And there is one famous case of the genus Globorotalia. There are two species, Plesiotumida and Tumida. And that was the major showcase where paleontologists said, there we can show the Darwinian process of gradual transition from one species to another. And just a few years ago, there was a paper coming out, a major study on this case, which completely refuted this case as evidence for gradual transition. The paper basically says it's a case of non-gradual abrupt speciation, and all the other interpretation was an artifact of incorrect interpretation of the data of so-called hidden diversity. And another case which has been refuted, very famous case, is the freshwater snails from a Miocene lake basin from Germany, the so-called Steinheim basin. And there in the 19th century, there has been a famous paper by a German paleontologist called Franz Hilgendorf. He made the first tree of fossils, of these fossil freshwater snails. It was called the first proof for Darwinian evolution based on fossils. And this freshwater snail genus is called Gyraulus. And there was a very early criticism by other scientists who said, well, this is not species-to-species transitions at all. It's just so-called ecophenotypes. That means this is just different shapes of the shell of these snails depending on the ecosystem, on different conditions. Sometimes it's bigger, sometimes it's smaller, sometimes it's more cone-shaped, sometimes it's more flat-shaped. But it's the same species in the same habitat occurring in different kind of morphs. And this early critique has recently been confirmed by a study in 2015 on the still living genus of snails from lakes in the Tibetan plateau. And there they found exactly the same type of shells in the same lake at the same type, in the same time, as different kind of ecomorphs of the same species. So all these major examples for alleged gradual species-to-species transitions have been refuted, and basically the fossil record doesn't confirm the Darwinian predictions that gradually one species transforms into a different species.